Trying your luck with what time is it? Supply drop time!
Look at this, Dusty's Don's poor level 2 rival, right? Oof.
Yes, let's keep it going! Yes, let's keep it going! Yes, let's keep it going! Yes, let's keep it going!
Oh my god.
Yes, let's keep
Trash.
it going! Yes, let's keep it going! Go, go, go!
See what this is gonna be a grandpa or something stupid. Ah. Oh no, we just got the new suit. Okay. So the Gelgoog Vertex Kyanos is in our hangar and it's on Gus this time around. No Genie Curse here.
Yes, let's keep it going! Go, go, go!
That being said, if it's not gonna be very good for comp, then it's probably not gonna get used a lot. So, you know, there's that. So we'll stick with that then. Discounted to she. Alright, so let's take a look at this thing. I'll probably be doing a proper video for this later, but you know. For now. What's going on, everybody? Goose the 13th here with another video checking out the latest banner suit for August 25th. We are looking at the Gelgoog Vertex Kyanos. Something that we already had an announcement about that we already checked out in that other article, but we actually got it the other night, so let's do a rundown of what this bad boy's got. So, starting with the weapons, we have two options for the main gun. We actually have a beam rifle, which is the Gelgoog Beam Rifle GN, which also has a grenade launcher on it, but also the Dryzen Giant Bazooka. Both of them incidentally had the same cooldown time and reload time, although the beam rifle does have 50 more range, as well as slightly less output and less ammo. Of course, for the secondary melee, we have the Beam Bayonet, 2800 with a cooldown time of 2.5. No other options as of right now, and probably for the foreseeable future, but you know, that's just the thing. So looking at the sub-weapons here, we are talking about pretty much a strong Gelgoog lineup of weapons on top of some extra little bits and bobs here and there. So the backpack missile pod still in there, 450 power with 8 ammo and 400 range. Getting a reload time of 15 seconds. The arm grenade launcher, big fast shooty, decent blast radius on it as well. 2400 with an ammo of 1 and a range of 250, reload time of 12. Also, something that's a little bit new to this setup, the Vulcan Pods that are on the hips. They're quite literally just Vulcan Pods. I like looking at it closer now. And the only thing that makes it funnier is when we get in, you're going to notice a difference in the rate of fire. But yeah, 80 power, 60 ammo, range of 200 with a reload of 13. And of course, what's a beam bayonet without the beam gun on the end of it? 1000 power, heat rate of 30, and range of 300. Cooldown time of 0.8 and overheat time of 14 seconds. Gelgoog Beam Rifle also has that grenade launcher, which is 1300 with an ammo of 1 and a range of 200. Making it, I think... Oh, no, actually these two tie. I was gonna say it might be the stumpiest thing on here. But no, because the Vulcan Pods are there. Still 200 for those. Well, not bad. Overall, very diversified kit. I'm trying to think. So 1, 2, 3. So you'd cut these two out, and essentially you just have a Gelgoog. If you don't like having an entire laundry list of weapons, obviously you're probably gonna block at least a couple of these. I think most of them are pretty viable for particular situations or just for continuing stun loops and whatnot. But we'll get into that a little bit more once we actually do the practice round and check out the match. Moving on, this is a 600 general suit with space priority as well as a melee priority of 2. Going down the stats, we have 19,000 health. Ballistic, beam, and melee are all 22. Similarly, ranged and melee strength are both 30. So super balanced down the line. Almost a little too much. It seems kind of odd to me. But, you know, you take what you can get with some of these. And then we have a movement speed of 130, top speed of 225, thruster gauge of 80, and turning speed of 75. Part slots, we're talking 16 for close, medium range of 18, and long range 10. Going down the list here for skills, we also have Leg Shock Absorber 3, Emergency Evasion System 2, Flight Control Program 2, Anti-Blast Stabilizer 1, High Performance Balancer, High Spec AMBAC 2, Quick Turn 1, Force Injector 2, Melee Combo Controller 1, Damage Control Level 2, Special Leg Buffer Level 2, Backbinder Special Cushioning Level 3. So decent buffers on this. Interesting that this is another suit that they give damage control, but not maneuver armor. There's been a little bit of argument back and forth about this. The idea that giving it damage control as well as maneuver armor would make it a little bit OP. Honestly, I would say just tone down the damage control and give it maneuver armor, or just get rid of damage control entirely if you're gonna bitch about having both of them on there. Stuff without maneuver armor at this cost seems very, not fatal, but just rough. Because, you know, similarly, I run Shikikai. And although I'm pretty confident in that and like running it, it does get a little bit rough when you do get ranged punished trying to move in for your melee after you do your stun loops and, you know, do all this assist damage, and you just, you know, want to get a swing in and similarly for this suit, because it's also doing quick turn, because it's a Vertex, and because they gave it a melee weapon that has a little bit more reach and a bigger arcing like swing, as you'll see when we get into practice, it seems like they do want you to do that more. It's not just you getting in cheeky multiplier downswings, you know, to cap off your damage. This is a more integral part of what this suit's going to be about. Now, towards that end, maybe damage control in some situations will help, but I also feel like enough stuff has instant stun weapons for that to kind of be a non-factor at this cost. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. Looking at the upgrades for the enhancement list then, +1 range to modifier, frame reinforcement, so 100 HP at 740, that's at 370, sorry. Enhanced shield structure at 1360, complex expansion slot at the very end here for 2480, which is a little unfortunate. Frame reinforcement level 4, so 700 HP for 4960 after unlocking, and some extra range +5 for 7440 also after unlocking here. So, not bad stat-wise. Can't say it's anything super crazy, but, you know, Vertexes in and of themselves are still running around. Gelgoogs are still being used. There's nothing particularly criminally good or bad about this suit on paper, which, as you're gonna see in a minute, is pretty much gonna reflect in practice as well.
Ready to begin?
Okie dokie. So, back in it. Take a look here. The usual stuff, so beam rifle 2102 on a general here. Everything about the Gelgoog weapons is pretty much the same. The startup time on the grenade launcher is atrocious, but it's got, you know, a good kick to it, 2147 there. Doing some good output, also very fast. The grenade launcher comes out as you would expect it to. The Gelgoog backpack missiles are still pretty potent. The swings, of course, on this are very akin to the Gyan Eos itself, which has a similar weapon. The downswing is literally the same. I don't know if that's necessarily something that has a little bit more reach, just because of the sheer scale of the suit and weapon in terms of this perspective. It might just be a camera thing as well. But it's got a lot of coverage for that downswing. It's still something that's a strong factor for that weapon. In fact, in some cases, just because of how intricate the animation is, depending on how you cross over a person, you will hit them multiple times, even without it just being the two big, prominent swings as well. The jab neutral is actually pretty nice. The fact that it's curved down, though, means you have to be at least a little bit careful depending on where you're fighting from elevation. Especially if you're doing a lot of that out of reflex, or just out of like fear of not wanting to like lose them before they actually like boost away. What's this? Actually, we'll find another suit. But I want to show out the Vulcan Pods a little as well.
For establishing and holding the battle line. They deal increased damage to enemy.
So not bad. A little bit over half for that on a good plant. I kind of want to reload these. and then we'll check out the beam gun. Give me a DJ. So the beam gun can do decent damage. It's pretty much as it says on the tin. We're doing 1,000 and a little bit of like a penny extra. The heat recovery is not bad, although in order to get a stun you pretty much have to spend the entire thing, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's not really what that's about. It's about cumulative along with other people, or just pursuit when you're like cycling through your other weapons. Alright, so checking out the Vulcan Gun again. Something to keep in mind, you cannot fire this while boosting, as most lumbar things tend to be. At the very least, you can fire this while in neutral movement. So a little bit less there, of course, but not bad. Because it's a dual firing set of pods, the firing rate on the Vulcan pods themselves aren't as fast as if they were just kind of by themselves, but the stun rate is still not too bad. The bigger thing with this is that there's a lot of weapons that have either a decent amount of output but stun accumulation, and then of course you have your 3 weapons or so here that actually have instant stun. So their slowest one being the arm rocket. You'd probably start with this first where possible, unless you're just trying to get from like a further range, and then cycle into these, probably get in there for a downswing, and then try to barf on them when possible with your missiles. I kind of flubbed it there, but you know, I don't know if that's what people would consider to be like the most efficient thing. Any sort of combination of those, as long as you're finishing with like, you know, the barf down afterwards just to maximize the damage, should be fine. People will figure out their own combinations, because that's the one thing about suits like this that just have like a truckload of weapons. It's half of the point, half of the fight of learning them is figuring out what the fuck to do when, and what kind of loops you should keep in mind at all times, while also trying to take advantage of certain weapons in more niche situations. So in that regard, this has a lot of answers. It's just, you know, applying it correctly. That being said, it's nothing super crazy. The quick turn, as we can show here, not bad. You know, unlike some other suits that have immediate like heavy swings that kind of apply to them, this one doesn't really have that, although the first one to have it also didn't have that going on with it either. But alternatively, it also had 2 melee to keep bringing the pain with after that was said and done. So I don't know how comparable you would really say that is. We can also take a quick look at the general output of this. So the missiles, the grenade or the wrist rocket are gonna do a decent amount, especially if you do end up putting some more ranged mod on this. It is serviceable, and the weapons seem to come up fast enough that you can just kind of keep plugging away with whatever you got at any given time. So it is a contributor. It's not super crazy. You're not gonna have hellacious output with this thing. And to be honest, once you barf out some of your bigger things that you don't use maybe in your regular stun loops, you're probably gonna have to turn around and fend some other people off who are trying to pick at you while you're, you know, blasting down the base, or making way for other people who have faster output in the first place. I'll be honest, going back to the quick turn thing, I probably don't use it as much as I should. There probably are some situations where it's at least a little less obvious and more abrupt. I don't know how I feel about it, just because of how dramatic the downswing is on this suit. How easily that is to telegraph. Especially because there's a very strong pause when it actually does that, even if you're like holding it down to do the downswing. So I feel like that might be, I don't know, a little too obvious. But there's a very big area that you can cover, which I have a feeling is going to encourage people to try to go balls deep into a formation, hope they don't get tackled out of it, and then, you know, either bowl in like that or try to do a quick turn to interrupt any possible like stuns and then do it again anyway. We'll see as time goes on. I feel like most people are going to be pretty comfortable just, you know, doing loops, throwing in stuns for other people, constantly just doing either assist or cumulative stuff. This is one of those suits where it's all about your cycling and all of your damage really just adding up and frustrating the hell out of people by constantly having them be hit with something. There's always some shit going on with this suit, even if sometimes the varying ranges on what it's got going on can kind of work against it if you cycle wrong, but you know, that's just part of learning the suit like we were saying before. So we will see this in practice right now as we do have a match available. I will say some of the other bouts in this, although we did win and lose a couple, some of the ones were frustrating, and I did try out the bazooka. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel too good in that match, but I do want to try it again. Although I do also miss having the extra stun with the grenade, although I wouldn't say it necessarily needs it just because of the other laundry list of weapons that it already has, so you know. Take that for what it's worth, and we will check out that match right now.
Prepped and ready for battle. All units, prepare for
Not the weapon needs, but yeah.
move out.
Not quite. In fact, it's interesting that it wasn't even that, like, that severe of a change. Yeah, like the big punishing cannon isn't as threatening anymore. Like, it really didn't need to get ticked up. Oh, there's something out there already. Like a Z2 or something.
Beacon captured. The enemy has captured a beacon.
There's too many guys near here.
You've taken some light damage.
Seriously?
Allied unit destroyed. You're taking heavy damage.
Oh my god.
All right. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
Genuinely trying to go for that.
Enemy
Disrespectful.
well done.
You did. Oh boy.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Unit destroyed. Your unit's been destroyed.
Oh my god, and he got countered. You gotta be shooting me.
Where and how will you redeploy?
This right takes like one more shot to stun than it does on the AS. It's also a little weird because if your team doesn't really have the momentum, it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of places where it's applicable or appropriate
Try again.
to try to run that.
Allied unit destroyed. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Beacon captured.
Oh my god. They're just all up there now. Fucking hell.
Enemy unit down. Well done. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile. That mobile suit won't last much longer. Allied unit destroyed. Enemy unit down. Well done.
Oh, these fucking transformables just whooping.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Your unit's been destroyed. Looks like things are going our way.
So there's one that's really hurt over there. Four just got left by himself. One is about to get even further abandoned because four fucked off from him even though he has full health. Lord.
Try again.
I hate that.
Enemy unit down. Well done. Allied unit destroyed. Two minutes left. Pieces are more valuable for this mission. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit.
This poor bastard. No, don't let him out.
An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Enemy unit down. Well done. Enemy infantry defeated. An ally has destroyed an enemy.
I say you better kill that man.
Minute left. Bring that victory home. Beacon captured.
So less than a minute ago here,
Allied unit destroyed. Supporting fire incoming. Clear the area.
we're doing alright now, even though that was a rough opener, but if they get too many hands on us here, this might start to get ugly.
Incoming. Supporting fire incoming. Supporting fire. Allied unit destroyed. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile suit. Taking some light damage. An ally has destroyed an enemy mobile
Too close.
suit.
That's okay.
The mission is over.
Alright.
Well done, everyone. You earned this victory.
Sounds a little bit more aggressive. Still not doing a whole crazy amount of melee, but the speed on the neutral, especially when you can just kind of catch up to downed enemies, not bad. Of course, on elevation and weird ramps, not great. You're probably just gonna be doing your downswing anyway, but like, you know. Still, if you're more prone to just having a more compact kit and not worrying about as much stuff, you'll probably just be Gelgoog stuff.
Here are your rewards for this battle.
I still think, like, this won't fully replace Cheeky Kai, but it is nice to have something a little different to do. And eventually, when I get the Rizal on this account, that's probably still what I'm gonna run. Okay, so that is a match in the Kyanos. Like I was saying before, some of those matches are a little frustrating, and even that one in particular didn't have a particularly great start. And I really didn't feel like we were going to be doing too well for a lot of that, but we came around. Some of our interactions became a lot more aggressive compared to other matches. It is very easy to fall into the trap of just trying to run this as a hardcore midliner. A lot of Gelgoogs and stuff do it too, and it's understandable considering how much stuff you do have to barf out. The melee on this not being super hellacious as well, because this is just a flat balanced suit in terms of its raw on paper stats, means that you're probably not even too pressed about it, but you should probably still try to work that in there, because at the end of the day you are a frontliner, and part of that means also applying pressure, which is something that melee can do very well. Even if you're not doing crazy damage, you can still get stuns, you can still, you know, flat people onto their ass, and, you know, proceed to barf on them with all that other shit that you have. So, things to keep in mind, things that I also really need to do more of myself, so, you know, practicing what I preach in that regard. And hopefully, you know, I can make this work. My thing is that as much as I'm like, oh god, they should give a maneuver armor and all this other stuff, I run the fucking Shiki Kai on the daily. I also don't have the Rizal on my main account, which is Gus, which is something that I've been preferring more on Ginny at this cost, especially if you heard me bitching about it in there. Having to deal with a cost range that has always been the marker of the era for transformables. All these dudes running around doing the same thing that you're doing with less stun, immediately putting them in threat, especially when they're not support transformables. Being able to boop you off balance and all this other shit. And generally just having different answers than you, that can be kind of frustrating. Being a neutral suit, even when you're at least one that has, you know, like flight control and stuff, it can be a little frustrating. But I feel like this has enough tools to not only make them regret flying in, but also to, you know, encompass enough area to probably get a good swat out of them if you're not just going to flat out tackle to get them on the floor anyway. So, there are answers, and plenty of them. It's just a matter, like we said before, figuring out the right ones for the right time, and especially in a game that is as fast moving as GBO2 can be, even at this cost, especially as we get more and more suits. That's also hard, but also rewarding, so hopefully you guys have figured it out. Hopefully this, if it's not going to be like your super hardcore daily driver, that you just, you know, have some fun with it and have it be something to change up what you do when you do your usual comps. I think that's what it's going to be for me. Every once in a while I might feel the inclination to run this as opposed to like the Shiki Kai and Gus, at least until I get the Rizal, and even then it might just be another third one to run between other suits. So I'll definitely be giving this a shot more in the days to come. Hopefully some of those matches do turn out alright, because I wouldn't mind putting up some other videos for it. And until next time, this is Gustav the 13th checking out the Gelgoog Vertex Kyanos. Overall, not bad. Would I say that you would hardcore roll for it? Not really. But it is what it is. And with that, we will say goodbye. Until next time.